Yeah, in our last podcast, the conversation went from document capture and applying metadata and how that metadata is used into kind of morphing into enterprise content management, some of the benefits of ECM. So we thought we'd elaborate a bit on the ECM portion of this, which is a really important aspect of that. So yeah, some of the notes I have as a user of ECM, some of the benefits. My biggest benefit is searching. So we create so many documents, so many emails that it becomes almost overwhelming when you're trying to quickly locate a piece of information. Prior to an ECM, you probably put it into your file system. You tried to name that document. Let's say it's a Word document. You tried to apply some meaningful name to it, and a week later you just forget about it, or the fact that there's just so many in there and just gets a little crazy. So ECM, again, in my estimation, the biggest benefit of an ECM is its searching capabilities. But with that said, too, in addition to, say, searching, there's the whole security aspect. So that documents that I put in to an ECM, I can designate who can see those and more importantly, who cannot see those. So security is also a really big part of an ECM. We touched upon last podcast the check-in and check-out control. So, and really that whole collaboration piece. So you and I, Nikki, are working on, say, a marketing piece, and our main document is sitting in the repository, and you're halfway across the country from me, but you take that document out to add some more content to that. And when I go to grab it, it's going to let me know that Nikki has that document checked out, which means when you check it out, it's essentially, from a content standpoint, it's locked from me. So I could still check out a read-only version of that if I wanted to make some notes or just review that document. But again, from a adding additional content or modifying that document, you have exclusive rights to that. So check-in and check-out control is really, really important. As users collaborate, you want to make sure that only one person has edit control at any particular time, which then kind of leads into this whole thing of versioning. So, we create version 1 of this document. You and I collaborate on that. You check it out. You make some additional edits to that document, and when you check it back in, guess what? That becomes version 2 of that document. So the idea, and then from a document life cycle, you can see how that document morphed from version 1 right up to its final version, and what edits were added or maybe deleted along the way. So, and then I think lastly, a huge benefit to an ECM is that depending on what type of document that is, when you checked it in, it's going to apply an automatic document retention setting to that. So if this, for instance, just happens to be an invoice, I think in some instances an invoice has a legal retention requirement of 5 years or something. So that automatically gets set as well. So I think part of a well-managed ECM is having a taxonomy set up ahead of time, so that as you check documents into this repository, you're essentially letting the system know what type of document it is based on the taxonomy it's set up, and then it's going to apply an automatic retention schedule to that. So when that document becomes eligible for destruction, that's going to happen. It's going to let you know, so that, and we both know how litigious things are this day and age. So hanging on to documents ad infinitum is a very bad thing from a legal standpoint. So again, another one of the huge benefits of an ECM. It was interesting. I was reading a KM World article recently, and it kind of goes to the to this idea of some of the real benefits of that. And and this was a very recent article, and it mentioned that knowledge workers spend 15 to 35% of their time just searching for information. And this is information they know that exists, but that amount of time is spent just searching for that information because, as I mentioned earlier, it's, you stuck it in the file system, you have no idea, and, you're spending all kinds of time trying to find that document. 40% of knowledge workers cannot find the information they need on a corporate intranet. So it's amazing. This information probably exists, and they've probably seen it before, but they just can't put their hands on it. And then lastly, one of the interesting things is 15% of time from a knowledge worker, again, is spent duplicating information that already exists. So they've seen it, they can't put their hands on it, so what do you do next? You recreate the document. And I'm the worst culprit of that, because if I just can't find it, I'll just start from scratch again. So those are just, again, some of the interesting benefits of an ECM.
When you're talking about the checking in and checking out of documents, it reminds me of a job that I had that used just a basic file structure repository. And if you needed a document, it was the drive was accessible by everybody in the network. But if you needed a document, if you didn't remember to update the repo to the latest version of the document and then pull it down and then check it back in after you were done editing it, you were not using the most current version of the document. And so when you save that back in, you were saving your edits over an old document, and it was just a disaster.
And I totally agree with it, and I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me, particularly, let's say in presentations. You and I both do a number of presentations, and a PowerPoint. You have multiple people collaborating on a PowerPoint, and I'm adding edits, somebody else is adding edits, and unbeknownst to one another. And then when those come back together, it's like someone saves it over yours, and it's like, where's all the content I just put in yesterday? It just gets crazy. And again, it's one of those things that when you have a well-implemented ECM, all those problems just go away. You don't even think about it anymore. So again, if I go to grab that PowerPoint and you happen to be working on it, guess what? It's going to tell me Nikki's working on that. I can't, I can't add any edits at this particular time, and that's a very good thing. And some of the horror stories, hanging on to documents or emails longer than you need. Again, that might have deleting content that before it was eligible for destruction might have led to Hillary losing the campaign. In that, I think it was somewhere in the order of 30,000 emails just happened to disappear, and it was her contention that, well, guess what? These, I had my own server. And email, don't get me wrong, email are definitely documents, and it's my primary mode of communication with my peers and my coworkers. So that again, a well-managed ECM is going to include electronic content as well, like as in emails, and again, maybe more than any other content in an ECM are emails, and how you want to be able to delete them when you're supposed to and retain them, depending on, again, the taxonomy you set up and the subject matter of this particular email, so that, you're not destroying something that should be maintained.